Welcome, acolytes. Today, how to end a villain with impact. From Toon. Actually didn't do anything from him for a long time. It wasn't on purpose. Just because I wanted to try new content stuff. You know how it is. You go from time to time. It is what it is. But I'm gonna go to the things that actually made the most fun for me personally. And get the political stuff for the most part out. Still, you can talk about what the fuck you want for as long as there isn't any fucking insults. Yeah, that's good for me. Good start. But, by the way, the voice, for those who care, still sickness. Still regenerating, so that's that. But, let's go and let's see what Toon has to say about this, because villains that leave with an impact. Good things. I am still of the freaking thinking that the Big Bad Wolf of Puss in Boots or Death is one of the fucking best villains in the entire world.
Killing a villain is easy, as long as they are not Thanos. But killing a villain with impact? Now, that's the challenge. Because when it's done right, a villain's death isn't just the end of a fight, it's the point of the story. So, how do you do it? We've researched and produced countless numbers of videos on villains, and we can tell you this for free.
And by the way, Toon, his videos, legendary. Go in, watch them. I'm not gonna react to everything, because I actually got a very good argument that I believe in. You shouldn't make every video that comes out on a channel time by time except the person is okay with it. And wait at least a day at a bare minimum. Those are the most, well, where most people actually agree with is fine.
Sure way you can make an impact with a villain is by letting their death reflect their greatest flaw. Take Tai Lung in Kung Fu Panda, for example. From the moment we meet him, everything about him screams fierceness. He's powerful, precise, and terrifyingly focused. But beneath all that muscle and rage is something deeper, a bottomless sense of entitlement, the belief that the Dragon Scroll belongs to him, like the universe, not just Shifu, owes it to him.
Who denied me my destiny?
He was trained, he was chosen, so how dare anyone say otherwise? He responds the only way someone like him would, with rage, and Tai Lung is one hot-headed guy.
Give me the scroll. I would rather die.
Right from when he broke out of prison, dude didn't even bother to take a shower first. He just jumps right into punching everyone. Hard to imagine how someone locked for years could achieve that. But hey, I guess if you're trying to reclaim what you think the world owes you, strength comes easily. And bro, was Tai Lung an epitome of strength, resilience, and skill?
I mean, to a certain degree, we have to just bury this belief, especially in a world where freaking humanoid animals run around. But yeah, that's actually something that bugged me for years, and I'm happy that he mentioned it, that he just breaks out, doesn't even wait a freaking second to regenerate, and instantly goes in and F's shit up. Shows his strength though.
Who taught you well?
That's why his defeat is so meaningful. He isn't beaten by someone stronger, but by someone who doesn't care about being the strongest.
Don't.
Po wins because he understands something Tai Lung never did. Peace of mind. Confidence that doesn't come from titles, but from accepting who you are. Po learns to trust himself, even if he doesn't look the part, and that's something Tai Lung just can't do. When Po opens the Dragon Scroll and sees it's blank, that is the film's message. There is no secret ingredient, no shortcut to feeling worthy. But when Tai Lung sees that emptiness, he doesn't understand it, because he spent his whole life thinking power comes from external validation.
It's nothing.
Poe finishes him with a move that's only possible because he let go of everything Tai Lung clings to: control, ego, entitlement.
Skadoosh.
At the end of the day, Tai Lung is defeated by the idea that he is enough and a scroll is not supposed to validate his greatness. But he never got this. Imagine getting beat by a huge belly just because one panda gets a message and you didn't. Anyway, that's what makes his downfall impactful. It was a belief system collapsing in on itself. But here's the thing, why does that last moment look so satisfying? Why does watching him vanish in a burst of golden energy feel like closure? Well, because a villain's death needs imagery. So here's the question. What happens when a villain's final moment becomes a painting you never forget? From the beginning of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Frollo sees himself as righteous. He speaks with the authority of law, faith, and tradition.
Bring these gypsy vermin to the Palace of Justice.
But underneath all the robes and rules is a man driven by fear, control, and desire. He hides behind religion to justify cruelty. He uses the word justice as a weapon, and he convinces himself that what he's doing is right. Scratch that, divinely right.
Holy demon, I'm sending it back to hell where it belongs.
So when his death comes, it is symbolic and visually relevant. A perfect conclusion of his character arc. He's standing at the edge of Notre Dame.
By the way, especially the last part. I mean, for F's sake, this guy just went in, This is a very good reflection of real life, how power can corrupt everything, even in religion, and people just don't understand it for some reason. This guy did everything wrong that he could have done. He just went for mostly power and just disguised it as his own way of actually doing something good. Even though there was nothing good in it. There never was. He did everything, absolutely everything, to make himself more powerful or just to fulfill his last greed and everything else. So yes, even murder is acceptable as long as it gets you what you want. In his case.
The symbol of everything he claims to protect. God, order, purity. He raises his sword and calls down judgment. But right at that moment, the gargoyle beneath him breaks away as if the cathedral itself is rejecting him. He stumbles and falls straight into the fire. The same fire he lit. The same fire he threatened others with. The same fire he sang about.
Like fire, hellfire.
Visually, it couldn't be clearer that he is the villain of his own sermon. His self-righteousness, and the best part, no one explains it to you. There's no monologue, no narration. It all plays out through the image. Fire, stone, darkness. The man who claimed moral superiority is literally swallowed by the flames of his own hypocrisy. That's the power of visual symbolism. Even if you're too young to fully understand what Frollo represents, you feel the meaning in that scene. You see the irony. You sense the weight. It's a perfect way of showing without telling. But sometimes it's not enough to visually represent the impact of a villain's death. Sometimes the real impact comes from letting them live long enough to see the one thing they crave most slip right through their fingers.
Hell yeah.
Jack Horner is one of my favorite villains
that's
ever.
what I thought.
Dude's like a well-made
Also a good
lasagna.
one.
Delicious.
Horner doesn't give a hoot about justice or proving a point. He just wants it all. All the magic, all the power.
All of the magic in the world. For me.
He hoards weapons like trophies, crushes anything in his path, and treats other characters like they're beneath him. Well, maybe they are if you consider his height and intimidating build. But you get my point. His whole identity is built around being the biggest, the baddest, and the most unstoppable force in the room. But that's what makes his ending so satisfying. He died because he was too greedy. He chased all the power in the world to fill the hole in him, instead of focusing on what really mattered: love, connection, and friendship. And at the end of the day, what does he get? He dies shouting into the void, begging for attention, for legacy, for control. And he gets nothing. No applause, no closure, just comedy, if you ask me.
What did I do to deserve this?
That's the point. The worst thing you can do to someone like Jack is to deny him, to strip away the myth he tried to build around himself. The writers did more than kill Jack. They erased the fantasy he clung to by denying him the very thing he needed to feel important. It's
On point. On effing point. The symbolism behind this was just beautifully done. Denying him everything just proves the point. And I know that in real life this doesn't work this way. It is what it is. But if you want somebody to actually rebel, to rise, you still have to do it in a symbolic way. Be it in film or even in real life. It's simple. I'm gonna tell something from my childhood over 10,000 years ago. We had a bully in school. He touched my younger brother when we were both in school. Then, one day, I just went in, told him, hear me out. Either you stop this, or you're gonna get effed. He actually thought he can fight me. I dodged him, and then said, good, as you wish. Did I slam him at that point? No. I just went in, while everybody was looking, got a full thingy-bob, not soda, Saft, cherry juice. Just poured it over him and then kicked him very hard in the nuts. Well, people laughed at him. His ego destroyed. After that, he actually tried to punch me. It didn't work as he imagined. And yeah, since then, he stopped. Why? Because he was not just decimated by me, by pure, sheer, unfiltered fist might, but also humiliated to a point where his ego just couldn't regenerate. I didn't have to spill the juice over him. And he would have been just fine, doing what he does, if he just let my brother in peace. Because I normally know the natural ways how the things go, but hey, it is what it is.
psychological punishment. His death is about emptiness. He walks into the story thinking he's a legend and leaves it as a footnote. Because sometimes the most powerful way to end a villain is to take away the one thing they built their identity on. But what if the key to a villain's defeat isn't really about them at all? What if the real impact comes when the hero is the one who changes? Can you guess this next villain? Your Big Bad Wolf.
I'm
Fuck
death.
From the
Fuck yeah.
moment he appears in Puss in Boots, Death is different.
The bestest of boys ever. Though I would never tell that to his face, but hey, happily, I could glaze the entire day over this villain, even though he's a furry. But for fuck's sake, I have a very particular taste for villains, and I think the number one villain I would say would be, in my eyes at least, Darth Vader, that left the most impact on me. And the second villain comes instantly him. Just because he shows his teeth and he can actually back those things up. And he does such a good job of hunting the hero. It's so beautifully done. I cannot glaze enough over this freaking dude.
From every other villain in the film, and arguably from most animated villains, period. He walks into the
Not just animated villains. Villains all around.
story as a force of nature, calm, unshakable, and terrifying.
Well, well.
Yes?
If it isn't Puss in Boots himself.
Death has one purpose: reminder. He is a wake-up call. Think of him as an alarm that persistently forces your eyes open every time you hit the snooze button. His job was to constantly remind Puss that he only had one life left. And if he fails to acknowledge this because of his ego, he is going to die. That changes everything. Until now, Puss lived like the legend he built around himself. Reckless, fearless, untouchable.
Puss in Boots laughs in the face of death.
He burned through 8 lives with the kind of arrogance only a myth can carry, and he never looked back. But death shows up as the sentence, a living metaphor that says, you don't get to keep running from the truth.
I find the very idea of 9 lives absurd.
And that's where this villain becomes more than just a character. Death is a reflection. He's the part of Puss that refuses to be ignored, the consequence of ego, the anxiety that creeps in when you realize you're not who you thought you were.
Yep.
He doesn't need to shout or monologue. His presence alone forces the audience and Puss to confront the one truth we all try to avoid. Life is finite, and pretending otherwise has a cost. Now, here's where the brilliance comes in. The movie never asks us to root for Puss because he beats death. We root for him because he finally listens. He stops running. He sits with his fear. He admits he's scared, and he reaches for something he's never valued before: connection. Remember Kitty and Perrito? Yup. Man, that part still gives me goosebumps, and even death gets it. No wonder when the final confrontation comes, it's not a one-sided fight as it has always been. Even better, it's not about the blades anymore. It's about whether Puss has truly changed, whether he's accepted what it means to live with meaning. When death swings and Puss doesn't flinch, that's the real victory. Death is never portrayed as evil, just inevitable. And when he sees that Puss finally respects life enough to live it fully without illusions, he lowers his weapons.
Live your life, Puss in Boots. Live it well.
That's the lesson. Sometimes a villain doesn't need to be destroyed to be defeated. Sometimes their entire presence exists to test whether the hero is ready to become who they were meant to be. And in this case, Death's defeat is about irrelevance. The version of Puss who lived for applause and legend is gone. The new version, he has nothing to fear because he's finally alive. So, Death leaves, silently, respectfully. But before he leaves, he says this.
You know we will meet again, right?
This isn't a threat. Nah, it's a certainty. A quiet reminder that he didn't show mercy, but came as a warning. The next time they cross paths, there won't be a second chance. And the way Death delivers it, he's demanding recognition and respect. Of course, Puss acknowledges it because deep down, he knows that day will come. Maybe not today, but eventually. That's what makes this scene impactful. It's about the one truth we all carry with us. Sooner or later, we'll face death too. And that moment
Hell yeah.
will demand the same thing from us: understanding, acceptance. Anyway, what if the story flips that dynamic completely?
It's just beautiful how death
was actually really
out
funny.
of Puss in Boots is done. It's just beautiful. I love it. I just adore it. It's so good. When if I can actually give some wisdom to everybody, it's just accept that the point of death will come at some point. And I know it's ironic coming from a Lich, but my Lichdom wasn't on purpose, so the backstory to that. At one point, acolytes. But no, it's just at one point it will come and take everyone. It's not a bad force, it's a neutral force that is just inevitable to a certain degree, at least for now. And when it comes, it's not something that the Force will cherish. It's just something that will happen. Simple as that. No one to talk to, no one to actually go out and look for it, no one that will actually, well, that won't be there to just go, I'm too deep in, it's fine.
Completely. What if in trying to kill the so-called villain, the real villains are exposed? Some of the most impactful deaths in storytelling don't involve killing a villain at all. Sometimes the villain is an idea, a system, and its downfall reshapes everything the characters and audience believed. In The Sea Beast, the story sets up a world where sea monsters are the enemy. For generations, hunters have built their identity on slaying these creatures.
And eradicate every sea beast in our path.
The government funds them, the people worship them, and the Red Bluster, the biggest and most feared of them all, becomes the face of that so-called evil. Captain Crow dedicates 30 years of his life chasing this monster, driven by a personal vendetta. He sees the Bluster as a force of chaos that must be conquered to restore honor and order.
I strike at thee, devil!
But then comes Maisie. Young, curious, and unburdened by tradition, who notices something different. The Bluster isn't mindless or malicious. She's thoughtful, protective, loyal, and only fights when she's provoked. Through moments of trust, rescue, and even playfulness, the Bluster's true nature surfaces. She saves Maisie and Jacob from drowning, even though she kinda eats them first. But anyway, she fends off other threats. She even helps them fish. And little by little, the illusion cracks. Not just for the characters, but for us too. We were told to fear her. We assumed she was dangerous. We believed the myth. But the real villain wasn't the Bluster. It was the narrative built around her, the tradition, the propaganda, the lie that was passed down, profitable and unquestioned. And that's what eventually dies. At the climax, Captain Crow nearly executes the Red Bluster in front of a cheering kingdom. But Maisie steps in, not with a weapon, but with the truth. She exposes the story for what it is, a manipulation, a centuries-long invention meant to justify violence and control.
Is a lie.
And just like that, the world changes. The king and queen lose their crown, the people abandon their old beliefs, and the hunters are no longer heroes. But even better, the monster is no longer a monster, and all it took was for someone to look the so-called villain in the eye and see a living creature instead. But what happens when a villain can see the truth right in front of them, but they still can't let go? When the tragedy isn't just what they did, but who they refuse to become. Some villains die because the plot demands it. Others die because they've earned it. But the most
yes.
haunting ones,
Also,
they
top
die
10
tragically
definitively.
because they just would not change. That's Lord Shen. From the outside, Shen looks like your classic animated tyrant. Rich, brilliant, heavily armed, and backed by a brutal sense of destiny.
Yes, didn't you see the peacock on the front door?
But his power isn't what makes him dangerous. His obsession is. He hears one prophecy, one tiny prediction that a warrior of black and white will defeat him, and he loses his mind trying to rewrite the future. In that desperation, he does something unforgivable. He wipes out the pandas. He becomes a mass murderer just because he is scared and, dare I say, pure evil. Because fear is one thing, but wiping out a whole race is on some Thanos level-ish.
This is.
But his character is also tragic because he's smart, he's capable, and he had every opportunity to lead differently. And oh, did I forget to mention that this guy moves so sleekly, it's crazy. If I ever wanted to be an animal that knows Kung Fu, it would definitely be him. Nevertheless, Lord Shen became a victim of his own fear and his own need to control things that were never his to control. And that's where Po comes in. You can say he is Shen's enemy, but Po is more fitting as his mirror. He is literally what Shen feared. However, instead of being a monster born of prophecy, Po turns out to be a hero born of healing. He faced the same pain Shen did, such as abandonment, trauma, and loss. Yet he chose growth and healing. He let go of the past and found peace in the present. When Shen and Po face off at the climax, it's beyond just a physical battle. It's also a philosophical one.
And it's done beautifully, by the way. This last fight, it's still a reflection of both of their lives, how they lived and how they actually tried to continue.
One of them has made peace with the unknown.
Inner peace, inner peace.
The other still believes the only way to survive is to control the future. And then something unexpected happens. Po offers Shen peace. He tells him he's let go of the past, and that Shen can too.
The only thing that matters is what you choose to be now.
In that moment, the film offers Shen a final chance. He could stop, he could change, he could lay down his need for control and accept a different path. But he doesn't.
You're right. Then I choose this!
Shen's last decision is to keep fighting, to go down with his war machines. His final stand is to dig himself further into the pit he has created.
Yep, and by the way, you can say what you want, you can say it was stupid, but for fuck's sake, it's at least fucking badass. And he went out on his... he decided how he goes out.
It is likely pride or just sheer stubbornness. But whatever it is, Shen is finally alone. No mother, no father, no relatives, or loyal servants. His men have fled, and no one is cheering or even mourning him. He is utterly alone. And that's what makes his death powerful, because it could have been avoided. He had a chance, he just didn't take it. We don't forgive Shen, but we feel his ending because there's something deeply human in watching someone destroy themselves to avoid facing what hurt them. Something honest in realizing that no matter how brilliant or powerful someone is, if they can't change, they will fall. Shen's death leaves you with a quiet ache because he could have changed, but didn't. But what happens when a villain goes out the same way they lived? What happens when they die in the same way they've killed? Some villains die tragically, others go out in silence. But Scar's ending is pure storytelling satisfaction. The kind that makes you lean back and go, yep, that's exactly what he deserved. Scar's villainy is about betrayal, overambition.
By the way, first villain, I remember Scar. Just a fucking legend. Maybe I personally don't think he's one of the best, but he's definitively not the worst.
And jealousy. Where good leaders earn leadership through strength or wisdom, Scar lies and manipulates.
Simba, I'm only looking out for the well-being of my favorite nephew.
He lets his brother fall to his death.
Long live the king.
Then blames a child to cover it up.
But the king is dead. And if it weren't for you, he'd still be alive.
Scar builds his throne on deceit and cowardice. But what makes his downfall hit so hard is how he loses because it's the exact mirror of everything he did. He used the hyenas to claw his way to power, made them believe they were partners when really they were pawns. He promised them food, loyalty, and equality. Then he let them starve while he ruled in comfort. Scar's entire kingdom is a reflection of that arrogance, a decaying wasteland built on broken trust.
Good. Now get out.
So, when Simba returns and Scar realizes the tide is turning, what does he do? He tries to pull the same move again. He blames the hyenas, throws them under the bus like they're nothing. And that's when the irony locks into place. The same creatures Scar used to kill Mufasa are the ones who kill him. He weaponized their loyalty and it backfired.
My friends.
Friends? I thought he said we were the enemy.
The betrayal that once gave him power becomes the thing that burns it all down. Literally, the fire is a symbol. Scar's world was built on destruction, and it ends engulfed in it. No drawn-out speeches, no second chances, just poetic justice, delivered fast and final. That's the power of karmic storytelling. You don't have to explain why it's satisfying you feel it, because the death reflects the crime, the ending reflects the journey, and the villain goes out the exact way they lived, selfish, alone, and out of tricks. But from killing villains with impact to writing the perfect twist villains, click here to see why Lotso is the perfect twist villain.
Hell yeah. By the way, Toon, again, a wise man, and freaking good at this effing job. I love this. He just does so... His things are so well done, so good shown. He just does everything step by step and does it in a freaking way where it's just beautifully done. I'm happy that his channel actually grows very, very good. I remember him having way less, or finding him with... Yeah, where it started. What did I actually find the first time? Yeah, it was here. Perfect Wish. This was the first one. Yeah, this was also his best. Damn. He actually deserves it, to be quite honest. Like, the amount of infos and things that he just puts in, it's just... I hope he grows way quicker. But, as it is, good night.